Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the dceu Daily. I just thought I'd show off my Superman little model thingies, right? Because my brother-in-law bought me these a few years back and I'm so proud of them. Because it's not like it's an expensive thing or anything. But I love them. They're always sitting behind me. And I thought, well, you can't see them. So I thought I'd show them to you. So, yes, welcome to Wednesday's edition of the dceu Daily, where we're mainly talking about the power of fandoms thanks to social media. Now, if you're subscribing, that's great. If you're a subscriber, I'm very grateful to you. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm not here to make money off of you. I'm not here to become famous. But I do want as many people as possible to watch this beautiful, perfect face, nose and all, hear this deep, loud voice on this cheap microphone and cheap built-in camera. So, yes, we've got lots to get through today. Articles, and we're dealing with the DC Direct, which is a new kind of site, I think, and I kind of like what they're doing. Justice League HBO Max was concerned about Snyder Cut outcry on Sesame Street tweets. Now, this is an interesting one. It's been a long journey for fans of the Snyder Cut movement for Zack Snyder's Justice League, officially announced in May 2020 by Zack Snyder that it was moving forward. The project will be released on HBO Max on March 18, 2021. Tony Goncalves, head of HBO Max, said in June that the decision makers need to listen when consumers are speaking. And, you know, this is just common sense. Now, how did us fans become so powerful? Well, it is, as I said earlier, thanks to social media. Social media has given us a voice because when I was a kid in the 80s and the 90s, that wasn't the case. Basically, they would just judge things on box office and test screenings, and that was it. But now it's changed. Sarah Aubrey, HBO Max content head, saw Zack Snyder's Justice League as already a success, given the press we've had around it and the subs they already had as soon as they announced the cut. However, an expert from an upcoming book documenting the lead up to the Snyder Cut's release points to these two thoughts being the opposite years ago when Snyder attempted to convince executives about the Snyder Cut movement. Excerpts from Sean O'Connell's book, Release the Snyder Cut, the crazy true story behind the fight that saved Zack Snyder's Justice League, have been released, documenting the story behind the push for Zack Snyder's Justice League. In particular, one section notes Warner Brothers' reaction to fans who would push for the Snyder Cut on unrelated social media posts and promotions. Now, before we go into that, isn't it a clever tactic, though, just to spam everything they post? And it really started to bother them. When discussing the Snyder Cut movement's social media presence, Zack Snyder himself couldn't help but laugh as the fans would appear on anything that Warner Brothers, Warner Media or HBO Max posted online. One specific example that Snyder recalls is when HBO Max tweeted a promotion for Sesame Street to which the campaign descended upon without mercy. Their websites, their Twitter, their everything, they were paralyzed. They were literally paralyzed, he said. They could make no release. They could talk about nothing. I was talking to an unnamed executive who said HBO Max would tweet something about Sesame Street and people would be like, fuck Elmo, release the Snyder Cut. That was the world they lived in. And they were like, Jesus Christ, what are we supposed to do? We can't function. That's pretty rad. Yes, Zach, it's really rad and it's hilarious, but it just shows you the movement wasn't just a bunch of toxic lunatics. We were clever in our tactics. Zack Snyder also spoke about the presence of the Snyder Cut movement at Comic-Con in 2019. It was during, I think, 2019's Comic-Con where there was an article written that said the biggest Warner Brothers and DC presence at Comic-Con this year is for a movie they never released, which I was like, holy shit, that's amazing, yeah. When Snyder spoke to Warner Brothers about the possibility of releasing a completed version of his Justice League, he used this campaign as a major justification. We did all these analytics, and when we went in to talk to Warner Brothers about possibly releasing the movie, I said to them in the boardroom, you realise I don't know if you're aware of it, but the biggest, most volume for any social media campaign for any movie Warner Brothers has ever done is for a movie that you guys never released. The most tweets, the most social media noise in the history of Warner Brothers is for a film that you guys don't have out. At the time, Warner Brothers wouldn't budge or move forward with the project despite these persistent pockets of fans online. And at that stage in time, had no intention of releasing. In what world is that okay? In what world does the business model support the point of view? It just seems insane. And apparently that didn't fall on deaf ears. Snyder went on to argue against Warner Brothers' point of these just being a vocal minority of fans, saying that if that's the case, why Warner Brothers couldn't garner an equally loud demographic for any of their other films. This is a good point though, isn't it? But it's just, or is that the fault of Warner Brothers for not making films to embrace this passion? But it's just, he continues, Zack continues, but it's just a hard thing to argue with. They would say things like, well, it's just a vocal minority, it's just a small amount of people. I'm like, okay, fair enough, if that's what you want to say, but if that's true and it's not that big of a deal, how come you guys, a giant media corporation, cannot generate the same number of social media impressions at this vocal grassroots minority that aren't that big of a deal? Now, this is interesting, actually, because it looks like while we were fighting for the cut, so was Snyder. I mean, I think we thought he was just sitting in his studio or his house talking to us and posting stuff on Vero. But he was in there campaigning to Warner Brothers to take a look at what we were doing so he could get his cut done. And they weren't having it. Snyder even suggested to Warner Brothers to hire people from the movement since they knew how to volumize one of their products, which wasn't even realized. Here's the thing. The entertainment industry doesn't like outsiders. It only likes employing from its own communities. So if they hire people of colour or minorities, it's always people of colour and minorities from their own communities. Always remember that. And I think you know what I mean. How come you... So this is him again. How come you wish in your best case scenario you could volumize one of your products in the same way that this handful of people, so you say, can do it? And if it's just a handful of people, you should have them working for you because they are unbelievable at their jobs, at their hobby. Actually, because none of them are getting paid for it. Oh, Zack, you killed it, mate. You killed it. This is beautiful. I told you this book is a good thing. Anyway, we carry on. Fans weren't the deciding factor. It's apparently from how Zack Snyder talks about speaking with executives at Warner Bros. That they weren't swayed by the Snyder Cut movement and dismissed them as a vocal minority. Large online impressions, especially for such a concentrated campaign, unfortunately don't automatically translate into profit. Well, if you've got a large campaign and it's trending online, whoever's written this, it does translate into money. More and more, it seems like the ongoing pandemic was the true deciding factor in Zack Snyder's Justice League moving forward. It would also explain the sudden change in plans for the movie to be released as a 4-part series, rather than a singular 4-hour film, which is now the case. Due to Warner Bros. Now releasing their entire 2021 slate on HBO Max, there was no longer any need for Zack Snyder's Justice League to be spread out. That's a good point, actually. It will depend on whether this vocal minority can bring in similar numbers to Wonder Woman. Oh, my God. Listen, we're not a vocal minority. We do create trends, and we are a big reason why this film is being released. So there. Can you believe that? The cheek of it. Yes, the pandemic had something to do with it. But you think if we weren't campaigning, if we weren't trending, if we weren't trending, for a million interactions on that day in November, do you think HBO Max and Warner Media would have touched Zack Snyder's Justice League? No. So ourselves and Zack did a beautiful thing. Well, there's more quotes from Sean O'Connell's book from the Zack Snyder interview. By the time he's finished, he's not going to have any surprises for us in the books. Or maybe he will. Justice League, why Zack Snyder picked Henry Cavill for the official announcement. Now, I think when he was picked, we just assumed this was just a clue and a hint that Henry would return to play Superman again. So, let's give this a read. After years of the Snyder Cut fandom pushing for the release of Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, followed by a news-filled year about what to expect in Snyder's cut when it streams on HBO Max, it's all about to come to an end. Zack Snyder announced in a series of tweets that his cut of Justice League will be released on HBO Max on March 18th, and as that highly anticipated date approaches, fans are learning about the behind-the-scenes decisions for this project, thanks in part to Sean O'Connell's upcoming book about the movement and Snyder's finally realised vision. Why Snyder chose Cavill for May 20th announcement. Following continuous support from DC fans rallying behind the release of the Snyder Cut movement, the Snyder Cut release on HBO Max was officially announced on May the 20th. In his upcoming book titled Release the Snyder Cut, the crazy true story behind the fight that saved Zack Snyder's Justice League, Sean O'Connell talked with Zack Snyder about why he chose Henry Cavill to make the groundbreaking announcement. Snyder shared the following. But short of that, I just felt like there's so much love out there for Man of Steel in the community. There's so much, in my opinion, just a great amount of goodwill around Henry Cavill and around that movie that I just felt like the viewing party was a great way to do it. Now, this is actually quite kind of interesting. I like this, but there is a great deal of love around Henry. Henry is not Ray Fisher. He's not controversial. He doesn't have an agenda. He's not trying to put political views out there. All he ever wanted to do is play Superman. And even when they benched him, he's been fighting. He even brought them a director and a script. He still wants to play Superman. It's all about the character and the movie. And I do think Man of Steel, around the fandom and the mainstream audiences, love Man of Steel the most out of all the DCEU movies. I genuinely believe that. So it was the right decision to put Henry out there when he announced the cut. Of course, Cavill is only one of the Justice League's ensemble cast made up by Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller. In regard to why they didn't play a role in the announcement despite their support for him, Snyder said, I talked to Henry about it because he and I started the journey together. And this felt it was appropriate to just have it be Henry. And I agree. Absolutely spot on. Zack Snyder's relationship with Henry Cavill's Superman, Man of Steel, starring Henry Cavill as Superman, was Snyder's first film for the DCEU. And from Snyder's comments in recent months, fans know he had a much different vision for Superman's treatment in Justice League than what audiences saw on screen in 2017. Clearly the character, as well as Cavill, is important to him. In addition, it makes sense for Snyder to choose Cavill, the actor who had been with him on this journey from the very beginning, to announce his last project with the franchise. Zack Snyder's Justice League launches on HBO Max on March 18th, 2021. We can't say that too many times, can we? So that's an awesome little article. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Henry's the man. We all love him. I think he is the most popular figure within the DCEU. I think especially now, people like Ray Fisher divides people. I think Henry actually unites people. And even Gal now and Patty with Wonder Woman 84. A little bit divisive. But Henry divides no one. He's just such a great actor, great guy, and I'm proud he's playing my hero. Justice League, Ray Fisher defends Cyborg line removal with Superman comparison. So this is about the Booyah thing not being in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'll give you my view in a minute. I think this is such a stupid issue to discuss, but never mind, we'll do it. It's out there. It's relevant. Given that Zack Snyder's Justice League is only weeks away from its eventual HBO Max debut, the marketing for the film has ramped up in the past few days. Snyder has been leading the charge, sharing several posters and tidbits to dial more hype for the much-anticipated release this March. It's no secret that the Snyder Cut will be far different from the 2017 theatrical version of the film. That being said, the visionary director also pointed out how his movie differs from Joss Whedon's iteration, admitting he will not use any footage from the previous version. One of the stark differences of Zack Snyder's Justice League is that it will not utilize Cyborg's Booyah catchphrase as expected. This led to a divisive reaction online among fans. Why is it as expected? I don't get that. I don't understand. Anyway, basically, I'll react in a minute. Now the actor who portrays Cyborg in the DCEU has shared his reaction to the issue. Ray Fisher reacts on Cyborg's Booyah line. In a tweet, Ray Fisher defended Zack Snyder's decision to not use Cyborg's iconic Booyah line in his Justice League. The actor pointed out that fans should not be upset with the omission because they wouldn't have the same reaction if other catchphrases of characters like Superman and Wonder Woman were cut from the film. This is what he said. Seriously reflective question for the folks that take issue with Cyborg not saying Booyah in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Are you just as upset that none of the other characters are using their catchphrases, i.e. great hero? This looks like a job for... Right, here's the thing. I mean, I think booyah is a single word. Booyah is a very famous catchphrase. I mean, yeah, they don't use, is it a bird, is it a plane, or anything like that. Yes, it's true, right? But look, this is an issue that's out there, so let's talk about this. So Ray's creating a comparison. Why aren't you as angry about the other heroes? Now, is this Ray trying to make a comparison saying, why aren't you saying this about the white superheroes? Maybe it is, because Ray's very, very political. We know that. But I do not care that he doesn't say booyah in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, when Zack was asked about this, he said, hell no. Now, this is what triggered people, not necessarily the fact that, you know, he doesn't say booyah in Zack Snyder's Justice League. People feel that Zack's a bit embarrassed about what comic books and superheroes are. And they feel, not me, but they feel this is why he makes superhero movies so seriously, why he takes a darker tone, and why he doesn't want to use booyah. Listen, if you want to hear the guy, you know, say booyah, watch the animated series Teen Titans Go. I love that series, by the way. Or watch Justice League, where he says it loudly and proudly. This is not a big deal. This is not a big issue. I know most of us don't care about it and don't care if it's there or not. Listen, it wouldn't even fit in with Zack Snyder's kind of movie anyway. So it makes perfect sense that he's not going to use it. Maybe Zack, looking back now, could have found another way to say, no, it's not in the film. I think it's the way he responded that people didn't like. But again, it's not an issue for me. It's all starting to take shape for James Gunn's Peacemaker. James Gunn adds Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 actress to Peacemaker cast. So let's check this out. The DC Extended Universe is looking to bounce back in 2021 after quite a mixed reactions to Wonder Woman 1984 from both critics and fans alike. After director Zack Snyder brings his vision of Justice League to life with the Snyder Cut in March, this endeavour will continue with director James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in August. Excited for that. Hype is building to such high levels for The Suicide Squad that it's already birthed a spin-off show for HBO Max in the John Cena-led Peacemaker series. Gunn is already hard at work on this new series and has enlisted the talents of some major Hollywood stars to fill the supporting roles. Alongside the legendary wrestler turned action star, the show recently began filming in Canada, but many details about the plot and cast are still a mystery. Now, some new questions are coming thanks to recent casting announcement for the series. 2 supporting roles announced for HBO Max's Peacemaker. Deadline is exclusively reporting that Elizabeth Faith Ludlow and Rizwan Manji have been cast for Peacemaker in supporting roles as Kaya and Jamil. Descriptions for either character has yet to be released. Director James Gunn added to this announcement in a tweet welcoming both of the new stars to the show's cast. Gunn's tweet also included a picture of himself with Ludlow from the 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in which she played an alien extra. Welcome Elizabeth Ludlow and Riz Manji. I've been working with these two this week and they've been killing it. Fun fact, Elizabeth was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but she was an alien, so I didn't recognise her when she auditioned. I didn't know we had worked together until I cast her a second time, so she must be good, right? So that's pretty awesome. So that's a bit of casting news for you. So what's exciting for me that the Snyderverse isn't the only thing taking shape right now with us finally seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League on March the 18th. But there's going to be about 5 or 6 movies shooting this year as well, including Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and a few more of movies as well. So this year, the DCEU and this multiverse strategy is really taking shape. And don't forget, the origin story for that multiverse strategy, Flashpoint, is also going to start shooting in April. That's 3 movies. Very exciting. I can't wait to see these movies, especially Flashpoint. Flashpoint is our go-to, our new beginning. But we must never forget what happened to Zack Snyder. And what happened to Zack Snyder with Justice League and his Snyderverse is a precautionary tale. A precautionary tale of Hollywood listening to the wrong people. listening to access media, listening, to people within their own studios who didn't have a clue. Zack Snyder's telling Sean O'Connell that he was literally saying, look at the fans, they want this, you're going to make money. And they still believed in their little deluded minds that it was just the minority. Even the author of the article still believes that. This is how deluded these people are. And they're always trying to hit blows. Let's be clear. The media and studios and the industry itself does not like the audience and the consumer leading the narrative. They never have, and they never will. And they're always trying to lead the narrative. But because of social media, they can't do it. They don't have the skills to compete with us. That's the thing. And so I think that's so beautiful about this. All of a sudden, we can get our voices heard. If we want more Snyderverse, we can tell them that. But what's important now, how we can prove we're not a small minority, is by saying nothing. Because our voices will be on the money and the subscribers HBO Max gets. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm actually wearing shorts today. So if you can see my legs, I am actually wearing shorts. I am actually wearing something, but I'll be back tomorrow with some trousers. See you again soon.